Hello, class. My name is Christian Bautista, and I'll be talking about tax loopholes and why I think the U.S. government should close tax loopholes. I have a lot to say, so let's get started. The U.S. government should close tax loopholes that allow corporations and wealthy individuals to avoid paying their taxpayer shares, the share of taxes. These loopholes contribute to income inequality, reduce of government funding for essential public services, and create an unfair economic system. The U.S. government should close tax loopholes. By the exposure in the system, this causes wealth inequality. Wealth inequality tends to mean that an increase of ultra wealthy individuals and companies exert their ability to shape and influence government policies. Closing the loopholes give the tax fairness and ensure the more equal distribution of resources. In finding a resolution, we advocate for tax breaks for the ultra-rich and corporations, as well as a less regulation on smaller businesses. We should implement stricter regulations on ultra-wealthy tax brackets, increasing transparency and in strengthening enforcements, yes. Closing tax loopholes will increase government revenue and reduce wealth inequality. Many multinational corporations are moving to abroad, resulting in an erosion of tax base in the U.S. Slipping away from government fair tax shares, corporations use offshore accounts to avoid taxation. This only happens in the U.S., not in other countries. Closing and enforcing loopholes will require taxes to increase federal revenue. Some argue that closing loopholes will harm businesses, but study shows that fair taxation does not significantly deter business investment. When corporations and wealthy individuals exploit loopholes, the government loses billions of tax dollars that could fund essential services like infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Middle class and lower class income individuals continue to pay their fair share while keep increasing tax percentage, while loopholes disproportionately benefit the wealthy. This widens the wealth gap and continue the economic inequality. This can lead to a rise working class tax and middle class to make up the lost revenue, creating unfair system. If we see that wealthy people can avoid paying taxes, this encourages tax evasion to regular citizens, which undermines the faith we have in the system. It risks the public's trust in the tax system. Tax loopholes aren't just minor, they cause major economic and social consequences that affect millions of people. US loses over 100 billion annually due to corporation tax avoidance. Education, healthcare, and infrastructure are essential programs that could be funding towards. Without these funds, the program to public could suffer in the long term and hurt the economy. When wealthy and corporation exploit tax loopholes, they amass more wealth while lower and middle class Americans struggle, widening the gap. Loopholes can grow wealth and divide can lead to economic insustainability, decrease in economic opportunities for the majority of citizens. When people see billionaires and large corporations avoiding taxes, they see no kind of reform. It creates widespread distrust in government and tax system, causing harm and will worsening the problem over time. Closing tax loopholes will generate billions of revenue, promote economic fairness, and reduce tax on the middle and lower class income taxpayers. It also helps combat wealth inequality and restores the trust in the tax system, leading to a strong and more stable economic. With increased revenue from high income earners and corporations, the government can lower tax on the middle, expand programs that benefit themselves or them. More equality in the tax system encourages fair businesses, competition, and business investment, which drives long-term economic growth. And this tax loopholes is due to structural, legal, and political barriers that allow loopholes to continue. The U.S. tax code contains complex deductions, credit, and exemptions that corporations and wealthy individuals exploit to lower their tax bills. Weak IRS has limited its ability to audit wealthy individuals and large corporations, making tax avoidance easier. Business and wealthy individuals often lobby lawmakers to include specific tax breaks, deductions, or credits that benefit their industry or financial position. Many multinational corporations hide their profits in offshore tax havens, making it difficult for government to trace and track their tax earnings. Like Apple and Amazon use tax shelters to legally avoid paying billions in the U.S. Many think that tax loopholes are a complex fix or that it will hurt businesses, allowing political to avoid meaningful reform. But studies suggest that fair share does not reduce the investment of the investment or job creation. Without direct policy intervention, these systemic issues will continue to allow corporations and wealthy people to avoid paying their fair shares. To limit tax loopholes, the government should pass legalization to close corporations' tax loopholes, increase financial transparency, strengthening IRS enforcement, and reform unfair individual deductions. In practices like offshore tax havens and profit shifting, which cost US billions annually, reduce or require large corporations and wealthy individuals to disclose their tax strategies to prevent hidden loopholes. These loopholes allow high-income individuals to reduce their taxable income unfairly. I mean, these closing loopholes will reduce their taxable income unfairly. These measures will ensure that fair tax systems that benefit all citizens and prevent large-scale tax avoidance. By closing these tax loopholes, we will ensure that billions in unpaid taxes are collected, restoring and funding for essential services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. It ensures that wealthiest people, individuals, and corporations pay their fair shares and creates a balanced economic with an increased revenue from high income earners and corporations with and the government can reduce taxes for working families and expand programs that benefit them directly. When people see fair share and trust confident in the tax system, it will increase it is more compliance and fairness. By eliminating tax loopholes, it encourages tax avoidance. Businesses will focus more on productive investments than exploiting the tax breaks, leading a stronger and sustainable economic growth. And now I'll show you my sources. Now there are 5 sources I use for my thesis and reasoning warrants and the advantage of plan, and 3 resources for the harm and significant issues. And I use the first four for the planned and solvency, and the last 3 for the inherency, which comes from. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed.